It seems like every time we talk about a Hyundai vehicle, one of the themes I keep coming across is that the vehicles are getting better than you would expect them to. Those days are almost behind us now though, because now you know that Hyundai is already making good vehicles. Take this car for instance. This is the 2016 Sonata. In 2015 they launched an all-new Sonata and it was great. Here for 2016 they've improved it even a little bit more. This specifically is a Sonata Sport, which means up front you get a more aggressive face. I do like that overall for the Sonata, the language has been toned down a bit. They made a nice statement when they got really aggressive with their design language, and then they've brought it back to a place where it's more appealing to a greater number of folks, myself included. But you still get some nice design features. You get a great character shoulder line here in the upper edge that creates shadows and interplays of light. That's my fancy artistic talk there that I know nothing about. But coming around to the back, the Sport model gets this nice little spoiler. You get really aggressive exhaust outlets for a car like this. It's not, a Mustang we're dealing with, but it has a Sport badge, and styling-wise, it lives up to the name. Across 3 of the 4 available trim lines, you can get a base engine that arrives in the form of a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's good for 185 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. You can step up further and get the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine like we did. This one has 245 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. Now we're talking. Those are fun numbers. Both the base 2.4-liter engine and this 2-liter turbo pair themselves with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, if you are feeling that you want to go a bit more green, there's the Eco trim, and it is available with a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine because it's an all 4-cylinder engine lineup. That engine makes 177 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque, and it pairs rather nicely with a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. The reason that that one is the Eco trim engine is because it can get nearly 40 miles per gallon on the highway. The Sport one doesn't do that. It's easy to talk about the design language of the outside of the car because your eyes see that most often when you see a Sonata go by on the street, but not all of you get to come and sit inside the car. Here's where I think a lot of you will become even more impressed with what Hyundai is doing. They're taking these layouts that look stark but purposeful. I mean, it's hard to describe these in a way that makes a lot of sense here with what's going on in my brain right now. But what I'm seeing is almost like, not retro-futuristic, but very almost sci-fi-y of the 80s in a modern way, with great fonts that are easy to read. It's just stark and upright, and it looks really good in here. That's a weird description, I know, but I love what they're doing inside. Additionally, you've got a well-designed steering wheel. In the Sport trim, you get a D-shaped steering wheel, because to remind you that it's sporty. You got nice big paddle shifters right here, so you can control the gearbox, the 6-speed automatic, and what it's doing. Everything is easy to reach. The screen is easy to see. I like the gauges. When the car is off, there's no numbers there, and when you turn the car on, it comes to life, lending credence to my sci-fi analogy here. But what we've done is created a cockpit that's smartly laid out. Everything's easy to see, easy to touch. I like that a lot. Now, more importantly than all of that, to me, are the quality of the seats. And I've said it for years that Hyundai didn't really know what they were doing with their seats, and that's changed in the last few years drastically. It goes back to the 2nd generation Genesis, and it's all filtered down through the family, and these seats are great. The side bolstering's perfect, the rear bolstering feels good. I like the way the headrest kind of curls into your neck. I don't even need this seat all the way back, by the way. This is a midsize that has plenty of room. I could easily sit behind myself, which is a great test for a car since I'm 6'3". This interior, A+ for me. So when you think of the competition for the Hyundai Sonata, you think of cars like the Camry and Accord. Those are 2 natural competitors. This car is more interesting than a Camry. A Camry is boring, but it's boring in a way that appeals to the masses, and I know it's gotten better. It just isn't a car that appeals to me, even with all of its improvements. And I think the Hyundai ride's quieter now. You jump to the Accord. Now there is an interesting competitor because the new Accord's great, especially if you get the V6. The thing turns into a hot rod. The suspension is nice and stiff. I like a little bit more aggressive suspension tuning, but if you keep it with the 4-cylinder models, Hyundai's right there with it, just as good features. You start to think about, then you get loyal to the brand, and do you like a little bit stiffer ride, a sportier ride that the Accord will give you? So you balance some things. I think the Hyundai has a bit more standout styling, even though it's toned out its exterior looks, and the Accord is handsome. So you start to balance what looks good for you. That's what's the beauty about the midsize segment, is you really can't make a wrong choice. If you don't need as much stuff and you love driving, get the Mazda 6. If you want a well-balanced middle of the road that has, standout styling, a great interior, and tons of features for a great price, you jump to a car like the Sonata. Hyundai's worked hard over the years to improve their NVH, their noise, vibration, harshness levels in the car. The cabin is quieter. The driving experience is smoother. It all adds up to a car that is more enjoyable to live with on a daily basis, and it shows in every vehicle they're putting out. And this 2016 Sonata is no exception. This car does have a few different modes since, it does have a sport badge on the back. Right now I'm driving it in normal. And if I punch the gas, there's good torque there. Even a little bit of torque steer. We have 260 pound-feet of torque. Hit this button, I can go into eco mode, but since I don't hate myself, I'm gonna go right to sport. Oh yeah, see, it kicked down 2 gears and then it went off. So there are clear differences in the driving modes. The steering feels a little bit tighter. Hyundai's come a long way with their steering feel. I feel like I'm repeating myself in most of my Hyundai videos, but all of the improvements feel the same across the vehicles. But that's a very good thing. It's not as rubber bandy feeling in the steering, in the handling. Additionally, to help reduce unsprung weight, Hyundai has changed some of their suspension components. What were once crafted from steel are now crafted from aluminum. You've lost weight, you haven't lost strength, so reducing unsprung weight equals better driving. That's how I say it in the non-engineering way. You make the car a little bit lighter, you make rolling mass lighter, the driving experience is going to get better. The mid-size sedan segment is super competitive. It's because there are so many people who want to buy vehicles in that segment, so the automakers throw tons of good stuff at the world. Hyundai is kind of killing it right now. This is such a good value for what you're getting. I have heated seats. I've got a multi-screen touchscreen display up here with my Sirius satellite radio. I've got just lots of features. I've got another display here so I can see more things. There are all the creature comforts now that you would actually expect in this segment, but they're packaged very nicely here in the Hyundai, and they're packaged at a pretty solid price tag. This is a very well loaded sport model, which is not the top of the range and it's not the bottom of the range. This car is just under $30,000. If you step up to the Limited, there are a few more creature comforts you can get, but I have everything I need right here. So add it all together, for under $30,000, you got one hell of a package here and a true kick-ass competitor in the mid-size sedan segment.